In the footage, a man brandishing a knife delivers a speech in Russian to President Vladimir Putin, declaring Russian citizens will be killed in retaliation for Russia's airstrikes in Syria. While the authenticity of the video or the claims in it have yet to be clarified, and so far there have been no comment from Russia's foreign ministry or security services. There is also no indication of when and where this video was produced.
Shamsullah Ahmadzai says that over 1,000 children have been recruited by ISIL terrorists between November 2014 and September 2015. Ahmadzai works as a human rights commissioner, and he's deeply worried because Afghan children have become a tool for ISIL to sustain its power.
We have released several declarations and called on ISIL to stop recruiting children into the ranks. Children will not be able to fight, so they will lose their lives. The recruitment will also deprive the children of their basic rights, including education.
Children are first taught how to use guns. They are then given dangerous assignments. The terrorist group offers money to those families who send their children to join ISIL. Each child is reportedly paid between $200 to $300. Others are forced to fight.
We all have to admit this reality that unemployment and poverty forces people to join the terrorists. Daesh is our enemy. It is trying to sustain its power by using any means to topple the current Afghan government.
The condition of children is alarming in Afghanistan, even in big cities. They can be seen working on the streets from early morning until night falls, only to win food. According to the UN, 1 in every school-age child here is forced to work to feed their family. Most of these families have been the victims of the conflict after they lost their breadwinners.
She's got a broken wrist.
He hit me in the head.
Bumps and bruises, but Phyllis Benson says this guy picked the wrong house to break into.
And I said, "Who are you?" And I'm the king of the world, or some stupid remark like that.
Albuquerque police arrested Devon Scott after they say he beat the 76-year-old and trashed her home.
He was really out of his mind.
The commotion woke Phyllis up in the middle of the night. She pressed her medical alert button.
And I was yelling over my thing, "Please, son, please help, now, 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 he's right here."
Meanwhile, she says Scott tore her bedroom apart.
He was like a whirling dervish. Spinning around, spinning around, spinning around. He yanked this down. I said, "Don't you do that!"
Phyllis says in the rampage, the suspect knocked this huge hole through the door and then went over to her side of the bed.
So he turned on me with the broom and began swatting at me. Whack, whack, whack.
Moments later, officers ran to her bedroom door, found Scott on the floor and cuffed him. Surprisingly, Phyllis told us she's done being upset about this.
I feel that I've been challenged to help this kid get better in life.
And if she ever sees him again, she'll say this:
"You've got to straighten up and fly straight, because your life is down the tubes. You don't want this life."
Defense Secretary Ash Carter is ordering the U.S. military to open all combat jobs to women, dismissing requests by the Marine Corps to exclude women from certain frontline combat jobs.
There will be no exceptions. This means that as long as they qualify and meet the standards, women will now be able to contribute to our mission in ways they could not before. And even more importantly, our military will be better able to harness the skills and perspectives that talented women have to offer.
The change means women will now be able to serve in the military's most grueling and difficult jobs, including special operations forces such as the Army Delta units and Navy SEALs. All branches of the military have until January 1st to submit plans to make the change.
All right, well, controversy over a nativity scene. This scene, of course, has been displayed outside the Franklin County Courthouse for more than 5 decades now. But this year, a change. The display will feature the Bill of Rights in place of baby Jesus. It's a controversial decision that has many talking. RTV6's Ebony Monet was in Brookville earlier this evening with the story that is all new at 11.
Melissa, for more than 50 years, this nativity scene was the sole display out here, but residents we spoke to say they welcome these new additions because so far none are offensive.
Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus are represented right where they always are, every Christmas season in Brookville.
Christmas is about Jesus, whether you're Catholic or Christian.
whatever. An idea challenged in court. A federal judge has tossed out a lawsuit filed by the ACLU, claiming Franklin County favored one religion over others, only after county officials passed an ordinance allowing residents to petition to put up any display of any message.
If it's something's really offensive, I'd say it'll probably be vandalized. This is a small town.
Yeah.
You know, if it's really offensive, it won't last long.
Red markers outline the space where the Freedom from Religion Foundation is set to display its own manger scene. Only Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson will gather around the Bill of Rights.
The main office for them is in Wisconsin. I think they need to leave things in Wisconsin, leave it out of Indiana.
On the county courthouse lawn, there's now just as much space for secular displays like the celebration of winter solstice as there is for religious ones. It's tradition with a twist.
That's been there since I was a child. You know, that's something that's always been there, and I hope it always is.
The debate over whether to welcome Syrian refugees isn't just happening at the State House, but also in classrooms, where RTV6 has learned students are developing some strong opinions about what our state should be doing.
They're trying to escape Syria for peace.
The ISIS are just trying to take over the country, Syria, and they're just trying to scare people.
The students at IPS School 56 on the north side, markers in hand, are on a mission. Today, that includes creating signs that advertise an upcoming chili lunch they're holding, one to raise money for Syrian refugees.
This wasn't in the plan originally. We started having a conversation, and I could see the kids were really interested in it, and so I kind of revised my lesson plans.
Miss Smith started teaching her students not just about immigration, but about the struggles in Syria and the resulting refugee crisis. Part of the lesson, an interactive computer game which allows her students to decide how they would get out of Syria. Also, a letter writing campaign to children in refugee camps. This one student's message especially heartfelt. I am so sorry for you, sweet child. Hopefully, you will still be alive. But students here, they're not just writing letters to Syrian refugee children. They're also writing them to Governor Pence.
Dear Governor Mike Pence.
Most of the messages from these 10 and 11-year-olds, those calling Governor Pence's recent actions unacceptable.
The governor thinks that one of them might be the ISIS, but they are not.
Just let them in. One man could change the world. You could be that man.
Strong words from students who, on their own, have formed strong opinions about the refugee crisis. Ms. Smith couldn't be prouder.
I really believe that the work that we do with our students now can have an impact on our world in a bigger way.
Reporting for the Now, Indy and
A Walmart in Medina, Ohio is facing criticism for how it's treating a retired U.S. Marine. For more than a decade, John Harkness has stood inside the Walmart during the holidays to collect toys and money for Toys for Tots. But this year, Walmart told Harkness he couldn't wait inside anymore and would have to solicit toys outside the store. Backlash ensued, with people on Facebook sharing this photo of Harkness with the caption, "He can bleed and die, but he can't stand inside." Walmart released a statement saying it's looking to see if the Marine was mistreated, but said it has a long-standing policy of not allowing people to solicit donations inside its stores. The manager of the Walmart is new and said if Harkness was allowed inside the store in the past, that was actually against company rules.
Today's secular-driven society seems intent on erasing the rich Christian history and influence in our country. One of the main battlegrounds is Washington, D.C., where one media outlet is creating a place for people to better understand the truth. CBN's David Brody has more on this new venture called Jesus in the Public Square.
The cultural slide in America can be traced back to the 60s, when the Supreme Court said no to prayer in public schools. That led to legalized abortion in the 70s, and now the High Court says there's a constitutional right to same-sex marriage.
Somebody's values are going to reign supreme, so our goal is to bring our values to the public square.
David Lane with the American Renewal Project first moved toward that goal by urging pastors to get involved in the political process. His next challenge? Getting Jesus into the public discussion. It came about after a visit to a D.C. bookstore.
You couldn't find a Christian book with a flashlight. And it hit me again. Isn't this awful? A nation founded by people on a religious mission, the Mayflower Compact, for the glory of God and the advancement of the Christian faith, in the nation's capital, and you can't find a book or Jesus anywhere. And if the Lord does it, We're going to put Jesus right up in the middle of the table in Washington, D.C. He will defend himself.
That table opened up at the Washington Times. Lane planted a seed with management, which led to a website feature handled by Scott Lamb.
Jesus in the Public Square at the Washington Times hopes to talk about and dialogue with people to show them that Jesus Christ and his lordship is a universal theme, and they should submit to that.
The fact that this effort takes place on a major outlet's website is significant, and so far it's a hit. In the first 2 months, the site had nearly 200,000 page views, making it one of the top 5 most read communities on the Washington Times site.
We felt like we had a hole in there. We had a hole for faith coverage and faith issues. The intersection of faith and public policy, the intersection of faith and politics is larger and larger every day, and it's more complicated. I think that if you come to the Jesus Public Square and you read something there, you're almost certain to learn something that you didn't get to read somewhere else.
Some of the more popular stories featured biblical economics, and another one with a pro-choice journalist who became pro-life after watching the recent Planned Parenthood videos.
We're not looking to do 500 pieces a day. We're looking to do 4, 5, 6 pieces a day that talks about gospel-driven things that really exalts Jesus Christ and gets people thinking. We hope to have a ripple effect outward so that churches are stronger and that individual families are stronger and that people who are not Christian now come into the family of God.
Ultimately, Lane says that the name Jesus in the Public Square reminds us that all truth is God's truth. And for America to change course, the people need to hear his word in a desperate way. Lane is optimistic.
God is in the business of resurrection. I believe there's going to be a resurrection of America.